Hello, today we are going to record and release my album on quarter-inch tape. There are several reasons why I am choosing reel-to-reel tape to be the first physical release that I will be doing for this album. As of right now, I embarrassingly haven't released any format physically for the album. I've only released it digitally, and this is no good for a couple reasons. The first reason being I am unable to sell my music at my shows, and two, because this pretty much goes against everything I try to strive for when I release my music. So this has to be fixed immediately. When it comes to physical format releases, you're usually looking at three main options. The first being the vinyl record, usually released as an LP. The second being a cassette. And the third being a CD. Obviously, in an ideal world, this album would be out on vinyl record, but they say good things come to those who wait. Cassettes, I was planning on doing a self-release either using this machine here or this cassette deck here, but I ran into so many issues that I'm not going to get into for this video. So I am working with someone else, the Collection Center, and we're going to be putting out 100 copies of the album on cassette. That should be done within a month or so look out to that. And the third option being a CD, and the only reason I haven't released a CD yet is because I wanted to do something custom like I did with my Maybe One Day EP, where each CD is different than the other, and I'm not sure how to implement that yet for this album, so that's kind of just on the back burner until I could figure that out. I have had a lot of people contact me through email about purchasing a physical copy of the album, and I've been putting everyone on a list so I remember, you know, what format people are looking for. And it wasn't until a few weeks ago where a fella named Eric St. Pierre contacted me about getting a copy of my album on quarter-inch reel-to-reel tape, and this obviously piqued my interest immediately. Let's take a moment to talk about the medium of reel-to-reel tape in a consumer format. This is a format that is not often talked about, and this is a shame because this was a beast to be reckoned with during the hi-fi stereo days. While this medium offers very high-quality recording and playback capabilities, it never quite caught on like other consumer formats did, and this is due to several reasons. The first reason being the added cost of not only having to buy the tapes, but having to buy a tape deck in addition to your record player in the home. The second reason is because of the required maintenance that comes with having a tape machine, and it's by no means a lot of maintenance for a consumer format, but it is necessary to a certain degree. And the third reason is because open reels can be a real pain in the to handle and to thread the machine. Compare it to something like a closed cartridge in a cassette or an 8-track format where you're not fiddling with the tape or anything like that, or even a vinyl record where you just put one single disc on a record player and that's all you need to do. And the fourth reason is due to some lack of standardization. But what I mean by that is depending on the era, the genre, the label that this album is coming out in, the track formats can be different, the reel sizes could be different, the tape speed could be different, the equalization curve could be different. For these reasons, this could be quite confusing to the average consumer who's not concerned with tape speed and all that. They just want to put something that's easy to listen to on. I'm sure I'm missing other reasons, but regardless, all of these reasons combined is why this format never caught on with the average consumer and really was only popular amongst the hi-fi enthusiast market. Fast forward today, and this medium is on full life support. According to my esteemed colleagues and I's vigorous internet scouring, there is no one else out there right now that is offering their modern-day produced album on quarter-inch reel-to-reel consumer format. And listen, before you get all your tinsels in a twist, I only did about 3 minutes of internet scouring. So I'm sure there's some other jabron out there who's releasing their album on quarter-inch reel-to-reel. I just couldn't find them. But for the sake of inflating my ego in this video, let's assume that I am the only one who's going to be doing so. I do see some websites out there that offer quarter-inch reel-to-reel recordings for people's music, but those seem to be more tailored towards mastering services than providing large-scale consumer format duplications. And Also, a lot of the websites I found seem to be not have been updated in years, so who knows if they're even still offering those services. But I tell you what, today we are going to bring some change to that. No longer will the velvety, beautiful goodness of quarter-inch tape die out of our aching, nostalgic hearts. There's something quite spectacular about this medium, and when it comes to analog formats, this is the cream of the crop. All this leads me to a point a few weeks ago where Eric had contacted me about acquiring a copy on quarter-inch tape, and I was more than happy to oblige this service, and we had some deliberations about how we were going to do so. Mainly our deliberations were the track formatting, the tape speed, and the reel size that we'd ultimately choose. So a slower tape speed is going to give you more time at the detriment of losing some sound fidelity. A bigger reel size is going to give you more tape and therefore more runtime at the detriment of added cost. And finally, the track formatting, the more tracks you fit onto a tape, the lower the fidelity is going to be, but the more runtime you are going to get. So these were all things we were considering. Eric and I both had two types of tape machines to work from. Our first one being a half-track machine that is meant for stereo mixdowns. By half-track, I mean the tape is divided into two tracks, each having half the width of the tape. And both of our machines ran at either 15 inches per second or 7.5 inches per second. The other type of machine that both Eric and I had access to is a consumer type of quarter-inch tape machine, and this is meant for 4-track, 2-channel, bi-directional play tapes. And all that is fancy words for basically it records like a cassette. You're going to have side A and side B, and each side is going to have a stereo track. So that means there's going to be a total of 4 tracks onto the quarter-inch tape. My consumer machine is able to do 1 7/8 inches per second, 3 3/4 inches per second, and 7.5 inches per second. I believe Eric's machine was only able to do the 3 3/4 and the 7.5 inches per second. So those were our two options for our tape machines, and we were deliberating based upon what reels to use and what tapes we had, what reels we had handy. Eric was nice enough to offer up 4 of his 5-inch reels, and we decided that we'd be using the consumer format tape machine at 7.5 inches per second. This would give us enough runtime to fit the whole album. The format we ultimately chose was perfect because this is kind of a standard format that albums were released at, and this means when I make further duplicates for sale amongst you all, it will be in a standardized format and I could replicate the process easily. Alright, so enough blabbering about the fine details. Let's just get to recording the damn album on the tape, okay? And I already had the forethought of splitting up this album into a side A and a side B. So, each side is going to have its own side on the tape. And the tape machine that I will be using is an old radioshack quarter-inch tape machine that is probably about as low quality as you could get, and it is far from ideal for recording an album in this matter onto a quarter-inch tape. And I did a sound test, and it sounds good. The high end, surprisingly, is pretty prominent. It's more of the transport issues and the inconsistencies in the preamps of this tape machine that just kept causing me issues during the process. And unfortunately, the process to record the material onto the reels has to be done at real time, so it's going to take close to an hour just to record the material onto the tape. And while I was recording the material onto the tape, I had nothing else to do but to stare at the spinning reels and be alone with my thoughts. And that is when the topic of the home recording community kept bouncing around in my mind, and I kind of wanted to touch upon that in this video. And this video really is a perfect time to bring it up due to the nature of how and why I'm recording the album onto this quarter-inch reel-to-reel tape. And due to the nature of how I recorded this album with 30-year-old tapes that I'm using and the really, really low-end tape machine that I'm using to do this process, it is going to affect the end result quite a bit. I really cannot stress enough about how detrimental the tape machine that I'm using is to the overall process of doing this. And, the amount of tinkering and changing I had to do and redos of recordings, it added to the time so much. And in the future, if I wanted to do a large scale of something like this, I would need to get a better machine than that one because it's just not going to do. And normally this sort of thing is unacceptable, but given the theme of the album being distorted proportions, it's not meant to be perfect, and this type of release where there's certain anomalies here and there, whether that be some distortion or maybe an occasional channel dropout that I didn't notice upon playback, something like that, that fits in perfectly for what I was going with this album. It's not supposed to be perfect by any means. It's supposed to sound like a home recording album. Additionally, with this type of independent release, it goes hand in hand with what I was talking about with the home recording community. And over the few years that I've been a certified home recordist, I've made a few notable pen pals along the way, whether I met them at a show or through Craigslist and I was buying some gear off them, or even through this YouTube channel. I have made some really interesting friendships along the way, and a part of those pen pal friendships, a lot of the times we're sending physical music back to one another of one of our releases, and I keep all the stuff that these people have sent me, and every now and then it's really fun to just put one of those on, listen to music you haven't listened to in a while. And it's also a good reminder to reach out to that person and see what's up with them, see if they're releasing anything else musically, and kind of just catch up and that sort of thing. So I am getting really off topic here. Looks like side A is done. Let's go to side B.
Police won't confirm a newspaper report that to murder and cannibalism. One longtime acquaintance describes one weird dude.
Anyway, that is the reason that I never leave my house without a pint of Vaseline anymore. Oh, side B is done. Okay, now I just need to do a playback test, and in an ideal world, I would listen to the whole tape in real time to make sure there's no anomalies, but ain't nobody got time for that, and I'm just going to fast forward throughout the tape and check out various points along the tape, and as long as everything is kosher for a good 2 minutes of all these parts of the tape I'm checking at, we are going to be good to go. Now I just need to slap a front cover and a back cover on there. And the last thing I want to do is add a personal message to the inside of the box to my dear friend Eric. And voila, we are done. Now I just have to pack the tape and ship it back to Eric, and we should be good to go. Hopefully Eric is able to make like a response video of his experience after he gets the tape and plays it, and hopefully there's no anomalies or anything and everything sounds good to his ears. I would love to hear the feedback from him, and hopefully you all would enjoy that as well. As the title suggests, I will be selling my album on quarter-inch reel-to-reel for you all to buy. To repeat myself, the tape machine I am using is far from ideal and has plenty of issues. I have no way of properly setting levels, no way of properly setting the EQ. The performance may vary is all I'm trying to say, and I'm going to be putting the quarter-inch tapes for sale on Bandcamp with some ridiculous price, and the ridiculous price is just so you read the description and email me before you buy it. This way we could talk about specifics. Maybe you have a tape reel that you would like to use. Maybe you want a different format than the one we talked about in this video, different tape, speed. All these things we could have into consideration, and it's going to come out to different prices. I might also be doing some tapes that have splices in them. For example, 2 of the tapes that Eric had sent me didn't have enough tape length on them to fit the whole of side A onto, so I might sacrifice one of those tapes and take a splice and put it on the other tape. This way the tape has enough runtime for the full album, and if I do something like that, the price is going to be lower than if I have a splice-free type of tape. Alright, enough repeating myself. Hopefully you understand what I'm trying to go for with this home release, and hopefully some of you buy it and enjoy it, and we could have some correspondence between us. All in all, I hope you all enjoyed this video and you learned something, and remember, get off YouTube and go in your home recording studio and start making some music. Alright everyone, peace.